Hey, how y'all doing? So, today we're gonna be talking about how I'm single. And bitch, I ain't sad about it. Let's get into it. So, the reason I wanted to make this video was basically because I am somebody that has considered myself not that successful in love, and I also consider myself a hopeless romantic. And I used to kind of let that consume my life. And one day I just woke up and I just was like, I ain't worried about niggas. Like spending years and years worried about, back when I felt I was straight, worried about girls, and when I felt like I was, when I realized I was gay, worrying about guys and like them want to date me or this, that, the other. If I'm meeting their standards, why don't they want to date me? What am I doing wrong? That whole people pleasing of it all, the whole shebang. And we're going to get into why I felt that way and how I got to the point that I am now and all of that. So let's just start with in the past. So in the past, like when I was in school, like elementary school, junior high, this has been kind of a lifelong thing ever since I've been around the not wider society, but around more public people and around more kids that were my age. Even before school, when I used to go to church, I had a crush on a girl that went to my church. Like, this has always been a thing. And I just thought it was just like innocent, like childhood, like wanting to find love and all this and that. But it was just like a mission for me to, I wouldn't say get in a relationship per se, but it was a mission to me to get in this relationship and love on this person and receive that love. And I think a lot of that came from like TV shows and all that. And you know how people say we're pushing gayness and queerness on children, but if you ask me, that type of love was pushed onto me in the sense that I felt like that was a standard, and I felt like that was kind of like that was the highest love that you could ever receive, was through a romantic type of relationship. And I think subconsciously I knew that or felt that, so I was pursuing that actively, trying to seek out those relationships and stuff. And of course they never worked. Now, all through elementary school, I had crushes on people, and it wasn't sick, but it was kind of, looking back, I feel so bad for little me, because I would spend weeks and months, like just kind of not stalking these people, but like trying to get closer to these people. It was kind of manipulative in a sense. I would get closer to these people. I would try to become friends with them. I would try to, make nice with them, or just be extra nice to them so that they would like me back before I told them about my feelings. Because I felt like I don't know, maybe I didn't have the courage, I didn't have the gusto to just walk up to somebody and be like, I like you. I think there was that sense of rejection, and I knew that there was that sense of rejection, that I could get rejected. Reason why I didn't, really go up to people and express my likeness to them. But of course I would get to a point where I did feel comfortable enough, and of course they wouldn't be prepared for that, and they would have whatever answer they had. So I wanted to get into kind of in rejection. Looking back now, I know that rejection kind of stemmed from my childhood and being rejected for my queerness. Not so much in terms of sexuality, but in terms of gender orientation or gender expression. I'll say it like that. In terms of gender expression and how I acted. Sometimes I didn't necessarily act so much like a boy all the time. And so I would get reprimanded because of that by my brother, by my parents, especially my mom. And that definitely had an effect on me, where I experienced this in the home. So then when I go out in the world, I won't dare show the world what I showed them. And this little small focus group has gotten the people that I love the most, the people that are my village, have reprimanded me for this, why would I go out in the world and try to be this? One, and two, that has an effect on how you go in the world and how you act and react and all that. And of course you don't know this as a child, just out there in the world and trying to learn and learning new things. You don't know these things. You just know you have a crush on this person, and you know you don't want to get rejected. You don't want to feel the hurt feelings that you feel when you get rejected, or when someone doesn't feel the same way that you feel about them. And even more so with that rejection, I think especially by junior high point, when I was getting bullied a lot more and stuff, I think I felt very undeserving of relationships, because for everybody else it just seems so easy to do. It just seems so easy to get in relationships. I've seen the whole, like, everybody had been in relationships through elementary school, through junior high, and like I never had experienced that. And it made me get to the point where it fucked with like my self-esteem and my self-worth. Like, what is wrong with me so that people don't want to be with me, people don't want to date me? And you know, I get friend zoned a lot, and I think it's I don't know. I'm still working on that portion of it, like with the friend zoning and stuff, because I think it's just I'm just a low person, and just people just automatically put me in that place where it's just like, oh, this is somebody that, you know, a romantic relationship, we can see like they may have an up and a down, but this is somebody that, you know, I want to kind of keep around. And so they kind of put me in that friendship position. Plus I was goofy and I just was, I feel like a kind of lovely person. Like it would be nice to be acquainted with me, and not so much in a romantic sense. And I think maybe even back then people could pick up on my self-worth issues and my confidence issues, but I had those issues, one, because I was rejected within myself and who I was as a child, but now I'm in a position where I'm getting bullied and all this and that by a multitude of people, and I feel like I have no control over a lot of stuff. So that all of that combined is making me feel like I'm not worthy of having this relationship. Like, nobody will ever want me. Like, I learned then that's when I was starting to learn about like respectability, not like pretty privilege, respectability politics. The more I look better, the more people will probably like me. Or if I lose this weight, people will like me better. Or this, that. If I have these particular clothes on, that's how I even kind of developed my sense of style. Because yes, of course, I like to dress these ways, and but it felt all the more better for somebody to compliment my outfit and not talk about my darkness under my eyes and calling me a raccoon or this, that, the other. And I don't know. I think it made me put a lot more time into everything else about myself to try to obtain this thing, and not even so much for my own like happiness. Like, it would make me happy to have those things, but at the same time, it was also in this lifelong pursuit of a romantic relationship, of love, of this, that, the other. And so all through elementary school and junior high, I never had, you know, any relationships like that. I had good friendships, lovely friendships that I still remember to this day, but I didn't have romance or like that type of, even if, you know, you can look at a kid and be like, oh, this is not real, y'all just kids. But to me, if I was in that situation, it would have felt real. The feelings I felt for people felt like they were real. You know, I felt like I really liked these people that I would have crushes on and stuff, but not have the confidence to tell them, because I know as much as I knew there was a chance, I knew there was a better chance that they probably wouldn't like me, then I knew that there was a chance that they would. And I think that's what kind of kept that whole sphere going. And not that they were better than me or this, that, the other. It's just I didn't feel worthy, one. And so me not feeling worthy, of course they're not going to be like, oh, he not on my level. He's not confident. He don't, you know. But it was, you know, all that contributing stuff. But by high school, you know, kind of the same thing. I experienced a little bit of bully-ish behavior that kind of carried over from junior high. But by 9th grade, we realized like that shit is childish, and just people just, I realized it was just a whole different ball game. People are not blatantly talking about you all to your face and doing the whole bullying, teasing thing anymore. It's more of a behind your back kind of thing. People are rumoring about you. It was a whole nother sphere of maturity in a sense, but it was still immature, of course. But yeah, so by 10th grade, 11th grade, like I just was skating by. I longed for relationships. I found people attractive and I wanted to be in relationships with people. And I had, expressed that to them in kind of a desperate way. And looking back, I'm kind of shameful of it, just how I did some of them people. And some of them people I'm still cool with today. But, if you know, you know. But yeah, I didn't have any relationships in high school or anything like that. And I still kind of longed for it, but it didn't. I kind of suppressed it, and I still had this wondering feeling of why don't people like me in that way? I had always felt that way, like why don't people like me in that way? And nobody could ever answer it. I would talk to my dad about it. He couldn't answer it. His answer was the gym, of course, and making my body look like an ornament and look like a certain thing so that women will like me, because women like that, rather than trying to focus on, hey, let's be a good, responsible person, this, that, the other. But I digress on that sentiment. So my parents weren't much of a help. Of course, my mom, she always thought I was handsome. She's always telling me that. But of course, I don't believe that. Everyone else is telling me otherwise. And her and my brother and stuff kind of instilled that kind of confidence thing in me from the very beginning. Not even from a look standpoint, but just from an action standpoint. So I just felt ugly overall. I felt like in high school I had the two different personalities. I had a personality that I was presenting in school, and I had a personality that I was presenting at home. Not that they were very opposite of each other. They were very similar, but it was just different aspects from each I didn't show to different people. And I was wearing a mask for everyone. The only person I kind of let my mask down with was my sister, because she was one person in my life that didn't really judge me, mostly because she was younger and we just grew up together, like in that close age range, like 3.5 years apart from each other. Like, she knows who I am, she knows how I am, and she knows my personality, but she never equated that to gay per se. She just saw me as her brother, and her brother was goofy, her brother liked to dance, and maybe he don't do certain things that other guys do, but that doesn't necessarily make him gay per se. And she just was cool. But yeah, get back to the point. High school, no relationship. So then my senior year in high school, I worked the courage up, like, it's homecoming, I want to ask somebody at homecoming, somebody I'm kind of feeling, or like, I don't think I had no crushes at this time, but there was this one person in particular that I thought was real cool, had a dope personality. I was like, let me ask them to homecoming, and I felt like it was a good chance that they may say yes. So I did the whole thing with the little poster and all that, and I asked them and they said yes. And of course we were already like cool with each other, like we were in Spanish class together. We just kikied, as I would say now. We kikied and stuff, and I just thought she was a dope person, and so we ended up getting in a relationship after homecoming, of course. And we talked on the phone, we did all the little relationship things, we went on dates and stuff. And of course, sexually, I am more attracted to men than I am to women, especially at this point. So I was loving the emotional side of it more so. Like, the physical affection was cool, like the hugs and holding hands and stuff. But I mean, I know I'm talking about high school, but of course in high school, the goal is to get sexual at some point. Especially for guys, like, we were like, this is what the meaning of life is, to have sex. But I digress. But yeah, we had gotten to that point where, that was kind of a thing, and that never worked out, and that wasn't even the basis of what this is about. But I ended up breaking up with them because I was like, I'm finna go to school, like, I don't know how this finna work. And I just realized, like, my emotions weren't that deep for this person, but I felt like I should stay with this person because, like, we're in a relationship, like, hey, this is working out, like, we're cool with each other. Like, it was more so of a friendship than a relationship. There's like a flirty friendship per se. And, of course I didn't know what love was. I just knew that subconsciously I was seeking it out. And I did not find it. And I ended up breaking up with her, but then wanted to get back with her because I was just like, well, this is my first relationship. Like, nothing's wrong per se. Like, what? She's a really pretty person. Like, I had gotten this relationship with this pretty girl, and like the epitome of what I had wanted this whole time, I had it. And then I realized, like, I don't really know how I feel about this. I don't really know if I kind of like this. I didn't feel that. I guess where the gayness came in, I didn't completely feel that connection all the way. But I never did them wrong. I never cheated on them or talked to guys behind their back or anything like that. But that was that, and that relationship ended. And of course, I was a little bit depressed afterwards. So I was like, oh my gosh, my first relationship, da da da. And I just slowly got depressed after it, and I worked myself through that. I gained a lot of weight. It was the whole thing. But I just wanted to touch on it to get further along. So then by college, we get more comfortable in our sexuality. We started having more sexual experiences, and we're realizing we're gay. I'm realizing I'm gay. And in my freshman year, once my brother, he found out I was gay. I don't know if I talked about the story, but he found out I was gay basically. And he was the only one, and my oldest brother, and he's gay as well, so it was just like cool. But like, I was in denial at this time still, because it's just like the society, my parents, like, and just like I wasn't comfortable with claiming that title just yet. If I wasn't, I just wasn't comfortable claiming that title, because I felt like, maybe I'm bi because I have liked girls in the past. Maybe not so much sexually as I did as guys, but like I definitely longed for romance with a woman, and I couldn't see romance with a man. And I think that was mostly because I didn't grow up seeing it. I didn't think it was possible in a sense, so I didn't long for it. All I saw was the man and woman. So that's what I kind of longed for, and that's what I kind of tried to work towards in a sense. But by the time the sexual element got put in, and I started having sex with guys more and stuff, I just got to a point where it's just like, no, I like guys. I don't like women in this way. And once I saw it possible, I saw the representation, and I saw that like, oh, two men can be together and live a great happy life together just like anybody else. Two women can. A trans woman and a man, a trans man and a woman, and it can all be so simple. We can have romance just like everybody else. It doesn't have to just be sexual. And when I didn't, my friends could only fulfill so much of that love per se that I needed. And I oftentimes would get very lonely and like longed for, I wouldn't say romance at the time, but it was more so I wanted to have sex to kind of fill that void. And that's kind of what I did whenever I got lonely and felt feelings of FOMO and all this and that. I would have sex, and it gave me the endorphins. It made me feel good. It made me feel validated to be in this space with this guy, and this guy is, just validating me. Just the validation of it all, because I wasn't validated by my mom. I wasn't validated by my brother when I was younger. Like, that whole self-esteem and stuff was still very much so an issue. And yeah, but that, that kind of, my promiscuity kind of led to some things that, I'm still dealing with to this day, like my status, my HIV status and all this and that, which I'm not upset about it or hurt by it, but it's just a reality that it is. I'm just glad that I have realized things and doing better than where I was before, and realizing myself and being more self-aware and valuing myself more, so that I don't do some of the things that I used to do in the past. And I don't judge myself for it, even though a lot of people do judge people for those things, for being promiscuous or this, that, the other. I don't judge myself for it, and I try not to judge others for it, and I give them grace. And I think that has made me evolve as a person. Near the middle of college, I started to long for relationships more, wanted to have a boyfriend. I wanted to see what that was like, and I wanted somebody to like me in that way, as well as have this sexual thing. But of course, I was still being sexual, because like, I didn't know what that meant for me, and I still didn't, whatever. And I started to still develop those crushes on people. It would be a straight man, it would be a gay man. I would have crushes on these people, but I knew that either they were in relationships with other people, or I knew that they wouldn't like me back, or I had heard that they didn't like me back, and it was just the whole thing because then even with me coming out, that came with the body image issues. It came with the gay hierarchy with body image and bodies and stuff. And so I thought me coming out was going to be my whole like thing, like, oh, I can finally find love again, and I can finally be like free and happy. But then I realized, like, in the gay community, there's still some work that needed to be done. I didn't know this coming in, of course, but I realized quickly that, like, hey, you're fat and you're a little bit more femme, so you're a fat and femme, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people do not like that, and that fucked with my self-esteem and self-worth over again. But through me working on myself, and through me just becoming more confident in my body and just loving my body and loving myself more, that's where my self-worth came from, and that's where I started to know that I was deserving of these things. And with me knowing that I was deserving of these things, I still longed for them because I still felt that void in love, even though I loved myself. I wanted to segue from that kind of into, like, after I dropped out and, like, kind of where I am today. So after I dropped out and stuff, I definitely was in my spiritual bag. I was just becoming more self-aware and realizing that, like for real, especially after I took shrooms that one time. After I took shrooms that one time, like, I was just like, I love men. I love the male figure. I love masculine energy per se, or just like that masculine force or masculine being. I like that. And I realized it was confirmed, and like it was set in stone. Like, I like men. I don't like nothing else. I like men, or I like this fit masculine form per se. And so I long for relationships. Like, since I dropped out and up to now, I've longed for relationships, and I would have a crush on somebody, and like I would get kind of obsessed in a sense where like I'm planning out our wedding. And I know some of y'all be like, I do the same thing too. But it was kind of obsessive in a sense. Like, it would take over my day. It would take over my mind, like the infatuation of it all. I would be like, really like these people, and maybe not even had much of a conversation with them per se, or like I have not been knowing them that long to feel these feelings that I was feeling. And I just was realizing, like, wow, like I'm really like we having these crushes on people. Like, these crushes, like I really be having them, but like, of course, I still wasn't acting them out. Still was scared of that rejection. Still not want to confront them because I knew there was probably a greater chance that they wouldn't like me than they would. And so I would still do those same tactics, somewhat kind of manipulative, where I'm trying to like make them more friendly with me, trying to, make them more comfortable with me so that I can get to that point to be able to tell them or like feel them out and see if they like me back or that whole thing. But y'all, I realized this recently, and this was after I stopped worrying about niggas, but it applies to everything. Limerence. I learned the word limerence, and I learned that it can stem from childhood trauma, which I feel like that's my case, where I had childhood trauma with, just the love and just narcissistic parents and how that whole thing can go. And I realized, like, I was seeking love and validation that I wasn't getting at home. Essentially through these relationships, or trying to seek these relationships, or having these crushes on these people and this infatuation with people. I was realizing that was stemming from my limerence with these people. Like, I would fall in limerence with people. Just when I had this vlog, when I said I fell for a hookup, I made the mistake of falling for a hookup. I was in limerence with the hookup. I saw the compatibility. I was just like, why wouldn't this work? Like, this has to, like everything, the stars are aligning. What is he not seeing? Like, why don't he like me? I fell for this guy in Jamaica, and we were friends, and we talked on the phone and stuff. But I ended up like falling for him and having this deep infatuation for him. I wrote a poem about him. I sent it to him. It was a whole thing. And I realized I had a problem. And with limerence, I'm gonna put the definition. You also hit these points where after you kind of, because it's like there's this period where you're like, you can't think about nobody else. Like, you're really worried, about this person, really crushing on this person, wanting them to text you back so bad. Like, it's just like consuming you. And then, eventually you kind of purge those feelings and you kind of, just kind of fall out of limerence with these people. And then it's almost like a breakup in a sense. It may not hurt as bad, but it's just like you still had those very real emotions, or like you felt that stuff. Like, it was real. Like, you felt it. It may not have been rooted in good stuff, but like you felt those things. And even apart from the limerence, like, I was on dating apps trying to swipe left and right, like trying to find the one, trying to, like knowing that I'm deserving of this thing, not having this thing. I've still never had a boyfriend, like still longing for this thing and still wanting this thing so bad. Maybe not as desperately as I did in the past, but still kind of desperately, and still letting that affect my self-worth, me not being in a relationship or not feeling capable of being in a relationship. But me growing my self-worth and self-value and validating myself, plus me now learning about this limerence thing, and plus how niggas have treated me in the past, and just how shiesty some of them can be with you, and just like non-caring about you or non-caring about your body. That was a big one for me. Like, that's why I've been celibate for so long. It's just like, I want to be with somebody that cares about my body and that loves my body like I love my body and loves on me and all of that. I don't want to be with somebody that just, they see me, but they more so see my ass. They more so see these physical attributes about me, or sexual attributes about me, rather than me. I want to be loved for me, I think once I started to fill my own cup more, that kind of subsided, and my appetite for it kind of went away, and my sexual desire for it kind of went away, and I just was like, and after like so long of like going through this limerence and going through people not treating me properly, or not or dealing with niggas that don't meet the standard and aren't trying to meet the standard and don't really care about how I feel about it or whatever, and they want to take things from me and they want to be manipulative towards me, I just was just like, fuck it. Like, I'ma just be chilling. I'ma be cool. Like, I don't have to have this thing. This thing doesn't make me a better person. This thing doesn't make me... It has nothing to do with my self-worth, and I know that I'm deserving of these things now, and I know that it's possible. But I also know the value in waiting, and I know the value in having patience and letting stuff happen when it happens, or if it happens at all. And that's the other thing I had to come to terms with. If this romantic love that I'm seeking or want or whatever one day doesn't happen, I have to get to a point where I'm like totally okay with that, and it'll be cool, and I'll still have a perfectly fine life and still be happy. My dreams and aspirations kind of helps with that as well. Just like just want to achieve certain goals and wanting to achieve certain things, and not doing those things to run away from my feelings and love, and not, and just solely focusing on my career and just like F love. It's more so just like these dreams right now. These dreams are just more important than me being subservient to me, subjecting myself to being subservient to a nigga that don't care about me, or me just trying to get the scraps. Like, my value is worth more. Like, I have more things that I'm more worried about than a nigga. And so one day it clicked, and I just like, you know what, I ain't thought about no nigga in a while. And it was a very calming feeling that came over me. Just like, wow, I'm really not worried about these niggas. Because I had been in limerence for so long, and I would have these crushes and like long for this love and wanted with this specific person, and this has to be the person, and I used to worry about all that so much. But then one day I just woke up and it clicked, like, wow, I haven't thought about that in such a long time. Like, I have been more focused on my YouTube channel. I've been more focused on making my designs. Like I truly achieved the thing that I wanted to achieve, which was like, I was satiated. In a sense, I was satiated with what I had. I became more grateful and had more gratitude for my life and what I do have. And so longing for those things just didn't really It didn't serve me anymore. And that's kind of where I'm finna get to the conclusion, where it's just like, realize what limerence is, and realize your childhood traumas and where they stem from, and what they're still, like, the effects they're still having on you to this day, to be able to grow as a person. That's what I feel like doing the work is realizing yourself, being self-aware, how your actions have effects on other people, and realizing that, you know, emotions can be temporary, or to feel your emotions, or that you are worthy. So with you knowing that you're worthy, you don't have to long for it as much, or want to push for it to happen so much, because you know it's possible, you know it can, and most likely will happen. So you're confident in that. You have faith in that. And so once you have faith in that, you just chill out, just like, okay, it's coming. You get in your feminine energy more. When you realize your masculine energy isn't the way, you get in your feminine. And in my feminine energy, I mean, just like not pushing so hard for it, not trying to get it, not trying to desperately trying to, you know, work. Because I feel like a lot of times when certain things that don't require that masculine energy and actually requires that patience and feminine energy and all of that to get to it, it can take longer, yes, but you won't be able to do it either any other way. You can push for it, then you get in this relationship that you think is perfect, and then you have this abusive relationship. And not saying that you waiting is not, you can't have relationships that will fail or this, that, the other. I'm just saying that work on your childhood self, validate yourself, seek relationships where people care about you. Know that you don't have to take everything that's offered to you. That's a big one. You don't have to take everything that's offered to you. And with the people pleasers out there, you shouldn't feel the need to make everybody else feel better in spite of your own self, because you will be unhappy at the end of the day. You will only be able to hold up with that for temporarily. Well, you'll only be able to temporarily hold up with that sentiment and trying to help everybody and trying to be with this nigga and make this nigga feel better, and making this nigga feel better is making you feel better. You'll only be able to do that for so long, because they'll take so much from you, and you'll be left with nothing. And you'll always be left trying to scrap up the pieces of yourself and trying to fill your cup back, because you're allowing people to take from you when you're worth more, and you're worthy of being able to say no to people. You're worthy of having options. You're worthy of all those things. So yeah, that's how I'm single, and I'm not sad about it no more. It's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. Like, I'm not worried about if this nigga looking at me no more. Like, I still find people attractive, don't get me wrong, but I'm not worried about if this nigga talk to me. I'm not worried about if I get a reply to the text. It's just like, my life doesn't revolve around that anymore. My life revolves around different things, and I have different priorities right now, and priorities that matter to me. And like, not like finding romantic love one day doesn't matter to me, but this is more important. And this season of my life is more important, and so I'm not sad about it. I don't binge swipe anymore, trying to, you know, find the perfect guy, trying to find somebody that may swipe back right on me. It's just, I don't really care. I'm not worried about it. It's not a priority. It doesn't fill my cup. And yeah, work on yourself, do your shadow work, realize your childhood trauma. Everyone's not gonna apologize, and you have to be alright with that, and you have to move forward accordingly. And yeah, don't let people take from you just in the name of you're filling their cups, because you're gonna be left empty every time. So just, you know, do you worry about you, grow your friendships, grow your village, find love in those ways, find love within, and you'll be pretty doggone good, and you'll find yourself in better mental spaces, healthier mental spaces. But yeah, that was this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please like, and subscribe. And yeah, that's all. See you later.